Today I'm going to show you how to do ad reconnaissance in meta ads and then use Python to transform that data into something you can actually analyze and share. A lot of marketers stop at the basics. They scroll the meta ads library, they take some screenshots, put it into a document, and then may never look at it again. But if your competitive analysis lives in a PowerPoint full of screenshots, we can do better. We're going to pump this intel into Python and then turn it into a repeatable marketing asset. Something you can use for competitive intel, creative insights, and meaningful reporting. Think of Python like the gear Q gives James Bond. Sure, it's a watch, it tells time, but it's also a tracker, a bomb, and it probably shoots lasers. That's what we're doing here. You've got the same data everyone else sees, but you've got capabilities most teams don't have. Quick note before we start, Meta doesn't allow scraping ads directly on their site, so I'm going to show you things that comply with their data usage policies. All right, let's jump into the meta ad library. In the meta ads library, you're going to select on the ad category, choose all ads, and then search by advertiser. I'm going to choose PetSmart because they do a lot of ads and they also use emojis and other special characters, which I want to show you how to manipulate those later. So in order to copy the screen, I need to scroll down. Everything that I scroll to will be captured. I'm not going to go to the bottom, but in real life, real practice, you'll want to go to the bottom to capture everything. I'm going to give it a name that I will then be able to reference, put a date so I know what it is. Depending on how many ads are on the page, it may take a little bit for that whole file to download.
Meanwhile,
this file probably took about 30 seconds to download. Once it's there, I'm going to copy it into the same file where I'm going to run my Python script. And just so you know, here's what the raw files look like. So the HTML, it's the same data that was on the page, it's not pretty. And the files will look like this. And once it's there, I can start to edit it with my Python script. Now it's time to have a little more fun. Just like when James Bond gets to use the watch as a laser, not just to tell time, we get to use Python to transform data into something we can really use. And we're going to do that right now by opening up a script that I've created. You can use any Python editor you want. What I have here just shows it in Notepad, works just fine. The key thing that you would maybe want to make some changes to would be some of these stop words. What these are some of the common CTAs that would appear in an ad copy, like shop now or learn more. If you wanted to add to the list, you can continue to do that. Any changes you make, you would want to do a save as, and at least in Notepad, it wants to default to a .text file. You want to make sure you save it as .py and keep the same name, because the next step is going to rely on that particular name to execute the Python file. So now what we have to do is open up a command prompt. And we have to run the script in the same folder that everything else is in. So I'm going to change my folder in the command prompt to the same folder structure I was in. And then I already executed this Python command. And what you can see here is that from that input file, it found 41 unique records and it wrote those out to a file, which we can see if we go now back to the same folder and open it up. And you will see add text. Again, now it's in an Excel spreadsheet that you would be able to use. You've got start dates for each ad, even a URL that you can look at for each ad. So what you can do is you can copy this, open it up in a window, and you'll be able to see the individual ad that you just were looking at. And again, that was in that original HTML that you created. So that's an idea of what you get to do with Python. Some of the magic that it works. You can see there's still some cleanup that needs to be done. Seeing some gobbledygook that you really don't want in your final output. So I'm going to have another video that shows you how to do that.